Hey rockers, welcome back, man, for another true tale here at Bloody F Mess Official. Do me a favor, man, and hit that subscribe button if you are so inclined. And at the end of the video, if you like it, maybe hit the thumbs up down below and leave a comment. Thank you. Shout out to Ear of Corn fanzine out of Saginaw, Michigan. This here fanzine has been going for decades. Yep. Back in the 80s, these guys interviewed me in 1989, actually. And in the brand new issue, they did an interview with me again. Yours truly. I got to say thank you to Ear of Corn fanzine, not only for interviewing me, but for a great record review of my new Dark Days Unfazed album as well. Great review in here, and I really appreciate that review. Thank you so much to my friend Stan Bowman, and of course, Dave, a.k.a. Food Fortuna from Ear of Corn fanzine. Dedicating the video today to those guys, man. Also, today I'm here to talk about something that has been requested of me. Sometimes people say, tell us about your own personal adventures, your own concerts, your own bands, your career. And since this is my video book, I'm going to do a story tonight about the band I was in for 5 years, 2003 to 2008. And the band was called Bloody the Transfusions. Yep, it was a great band, a lot of fun, with some wild times, and we did an album even. But the deal is, I got to tell you about how that band started. There's some funny stuff here in the beginning. I was hanging out with my friend Lisa Leathers and her husband at the time out in Mackinac, Illinois. They had a big barn on their beautiful property where he could go out and play music and party and whatnot. And there was a guy out there that was plugged into an amp and playing guitar and was jamming with Lisa's husband at the time, John. And this guy was named Johhny, and he was bald-headed, running around, kind of like Angus Young from AC/DC. He was sweating profusely, which I should have considered the first red flag. Anyway, he was sweating profusely. He was rocking out. I really liked his energy. He didn't really come from the world of punk, but he knew about like metal and bands like MOD and stuff like that. But I thought, man, I would like to jam with this guy sometime. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to, wow, the door just opened behind me. Let me guess, Jet Dog's in the house. So I thought, man, I'm putting together a band. Maybe he would be perfect for this. Before I tell you about Johhny, because it's a good story, trust me, me and my friend Billy the Kid, Bill Lilly, the drummer extraordinaire, decided we were going to put together a rock band. Me and Bill had been friends for quite a bit and decided, let's put a band together. Let's put a band together and do some rock and roll and some punk rock and stuff and make some money and play some gigs and get out there. So me and Billy the Kid were on the hunt for musicians. Well, me and Sister Tracy went to a Motorhead concert up in Chicago. And while we were up there, I believe it was Chicago, we ran into a guy during the session before the concert started. Everybody was partying and hanging out. We met a guy named Lincoln Eads. And Lincoln had traveled from his town elsewhere in Illinois. I came from Peoria to the concert. We started talking about music, and he said he played bass. I said, well, gosh, I've been doing music since '83 and putting together a new band soon. What do you think, man? Would you consider giving me your number? Maybe we can jam. He said, yeah, I'd love to. We had a lot of the same tastes in punk rock and metal and hard rock and blues and outlaw country. And I thought, this guy's perfect. So there was me and there was Billy the Kid. And, well, before I tell you about Johnny Lease, a.k.a. Johhny G String, some guys in Peoria decided to put out a tribute to me. It's called Bloody and the Bastard Children, and it's a CD that came out on Black and Blue Records with a bunch of bands, like 20 bands or so, covering songs of mine or songs of bands I'd been in. It was a real cool album, a great gesture that I'm still grateful for, and for what it's worth, I decided, man, these guys are going to have a CD release party for this album. I'd like to go ahead and put a couple original songs on the album. And why don't I get a band together? Because I have been without a band for a bit. And maybe I could play at the actual CD release party of my own tribute CD. And that's exactly what happened. I basically quit music in around 2000, right around spring of 2000. I quit the veins. Was already doing professional broadcasting for a living, but I jumped into it head first, decided to stop doing music, so I did for a few years. And then flash forward to 2003, I'm in a barn in Mackinac, Illinois with Johhny Lease. I ended up later on giving him the name Johhny G String. I don't know if he broke a G string one time or if I liked the name because of the what it implied about, G strings, man, girls. I thought it'd be a fun name. So Johhny G String ended up coming over and jamming with me and Billy the Kid, and we all brought Lincoln down, Lincoln Eads, who I later nicknamed Lincoln Log, and he liked that, and that's the name he went by when he wasn't mad at me. Anyway, the guys were all good dudes. We got together to rehearse down at Bill Lilly's basement, Billy the Kid. Well, from now on, I'll call him Billy the Kid. And by the way, he's still doing great living in Peoria Heights, Illinois, and a proud grandfather and a good dude. Billy the Kid, me, Lincoln, and Johhny G String get together to jam, and it worked out all right. It sounded good. So we thought, what do you think? And the other guys said, let's give it a shot. So we went ahead, hired Johhny G String to be in the band. We didn't know him that well. And then I found out very shortly after that there was a very interesting story about John Eads. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to blow anyone's, past or open a can of worms up. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form to Johhny G String. But I'm going to tell the tale from what I remember. Here's the story I was told, and he verified that it was true. Basically, one time he was in a boat on the Illinois River, like a small boat with, 4 or 5 people tops. They were fishing maybe. They were definitely drinking and partying, and they got pretty wasted. Well, during that boat ride, Johnny got into an altercation with a guy on that boat, and it wasn't pretty. And they got into a physical altercation in which I think Johnny or the guy ended up overboard in the water, and then people got in and out of the boat, out of the water, and it got real ugly. Well, on that boat, Johnny had a guitar with him. I can't remember if it was an electric or an acoustic. I want to say it was acoustic, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, at the end of the story, the bottom line is that guy that he got in a fight with didn't survive it. I can't say the word here on YouTube unless I say the word unalived, which, I said it. God, I feel this much less intelligent now. No, but this is what happened. I'm making a light of a dark situation. They got in a fight. The guy never made it out of it. Dude went to jail for it, and basically it was probably unintentional homicide, something like that. I don't know. All I know is that that's what happened. And when I found that out, instead of being appalled back then, I thought, wow, we got us a real crazy outlaw in this band, and we didn't even know it. And then I realized why he was doing that sweating that first day I met him, because he was into some particularly, he was fond of certain party substances, and I will not say what they were. If you're hip, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The stuff that makes you sweat. Yep, I'm guilty of having done it too in my life, so I'm not really throwing him under the bus. I'm just telling you the truth, man. Well, he liked to drink the whiskey too. Now, I was known as a bad drinker and a bad guy that would fall off once in a while and kind of lose my crap, if you know what I mean. But Johhny G String, he runs circles around this bloody mess here. Oh my God. He was out of control with this partying, man. We actually did a few gigs together, and it was just insane. We ended up playing Kenosha, Wisconsin. We played another gig somewhere, and we definitely played at the tribute CD release party. And I got to tell you, that night, October 25th, 2003, at a club in downtown Peoria, which the name escapes me. If you remember or you were there, leave a comment below. Where in the hell was that? They had a marquee out front that said Bloody Mess Tribute Show or something like that, and I was pretty proud of that. There were some good bands on the bill that night. And at the end of that night, which was packed, by the way, full of people, and the record label flew in from, I believe they were still in Rhode Island at the time. I can't recall if they had already moved to Massachusetts. They were there as well, selling CDs and whatnot. It was a good night. But I gotta say, old Johhny G String, and it's the truth, even if he's watching right now, he got a little too out of it that night, and we got a recording of the show. During the show, I could tell, but when I heard the recording later, I was pretty bummed. Because let's face it, man, at least if you hear the music on record from 95 on, everything I did was all quality. I always had great players, very well-rehearsed bands, and I was pretty embarrassed that me and Billy the Kid and Lincoln Log did all that rehearsal only to have dude drink a bunch of whiskey and do a bunch of that other crap and then kind of ruin the show with his sound being really out of tune, not playing the right chords, trying to do too physical stuff on stage instead of focusing on the damn music. It's great to be physical, but not unless you can play first. Anyway, we ended up keeping Johhny for a few gigs, and there was no hard feelings, but at the end of the day, he had to be let go out of the band, and of course, I was the one that decided to call him and break the news to him, I think. Or was it our drummer? It might have been Billy the Kid. I don't want him to see this and be offended either, because everything I'm saying is supposed to be truth. But I can't remember who the hell called me and told... I think it was me that called him, but he told me that he understood, but that he was going to get those other two guys, and he was saying some violent stuff to me, like very unstable, uncool stuff. So I was kind of glad we let him go, because, man... Even on my worst day, if I'm being fired from a band, I'm not going to like threaten with bodily harm. Give me a break. But he did. And so we had to just like kind of get away from them. And then can you believe that later on my record label signed that dude to his own like CD and stuff. And they wondered why like there were so many things in our relationship that went south, and they want to blame it all on me. Sorry, man, but I got a list a mile long of grievances. So let's take it up in court, shall we? Anyway, I'm only kidding. You'll never get me in court. The band started in 2003. We played some gigs. And then at that very CD release party that I was telling you about for the Bloody Tribute CD, a dude walks up to me and he says, "Hey, man, Dave Moe." And I had met Dave Moe before. He was kind of known as a legendary genius guitar player from Central Illinois. Dave Moe hands me a little card with his number. He says, "If you ever want a real guitar player, call me." I couldn't believe that. The audacity! The nerve, the genius of Dave Moe. Man, that guy and I have done so much since then. So what happens was that I go back and tell the boys, "Hey, I found another guitar player." "Well, how do you know he's good?" "Trust me, I just feel it." Nobody comes up to you and hands you a card and says, "Hey, man, if you need a better guitar player, call me." That's self-confidence, man. And let me tell you something. Dave Moe is not an egotistical man. As a matter of fact, he's the opposite. He's very humble, extremely talented, extremely cool. And he's on 7 out of the 13 songs on my new Dark Days Unfazed album. Dave Moe, legend. Well, we had our band locked down tight now. We started rehearsing a few days a week. Me, Dave Moe, Billy the Kid, and Lincoln Log. And we came up with a killer set list, man. We were doing covers of like bands like, I made a little list somewhere. Where in the hell is my little list of covers we were doing? We were doing stuff by Beautiful Bert and the Ramones, Gigi and the Jabbers, Johnny Thunders, The Doors. We did a killer version of AC/DC's Let There Be Rock. And we did a lot of cool stuff, man, punk rock. And then we started writing a lot of originals. We ended up recording, after a couple of years of being a band, in 2006, we went in and knocked out a CD, which came out on Black and Blue Records, produced by Jeff Gregory and Dave Moe. It's a damn good CD, and I'm holding it right here in my hand. It's called Bloody the Transfusions. Cover art, this logo was done by the late great Jim Wambacher, known as Swami. It's from Swami Stuff Graphics. Rest in peace, Swami. Love you, bro. Man, I miss Swami. Rest in peace, my brother. This photo was taken by the great Mike Garrett. It's a pretty cool photo of the band, man. There's Dave Moe, Lincoln, Billy the Kid, and myself. Mike Garrett has gone on, well, he was on my Country Trash Punks record, and he's made at least 3/4 of my music videos, and we're working on a new one soon called Dark Days. Anyway, this is an epic album cover that was taken in Billy the Kid's basement. It's really kind of funny. There's a lot of detail to it. The back cover, there's drawings of the band on each cover, each corner of the cover by Mr. Void. And yeah, some damn good artwork if I do say so myself. There's Billy the Kid, Lincoln Log, me, and the great Dave Moe smoking his cigar. This album, man, came out only after we had practiced and played together for years. We did a lot of touring, man. The band and I played in Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, and probably other states I forgot about. But the Transfusions was a killer powerhouse rock and roll punk rock show. Lincoln Log would often come out wearing like a French maid's outfit, or, you know, women's clothing of some kind or another with a cowboy hat. He was extremely a trip and very funny. Lincoln and I, when he wasn't mad at me, would always have a great interaction on stage, and it was very fun. Lincoln is no longer with us. I must say that right now. Lincoln Eads, rest in peace, my friend. He was involved in a tragic car accident, and yeah, was in a coma for a while, and it was real sad. I'm still in touch with his sister, and I love his family, and I send nothing but good vibes to Lincoln's family and friends. And yep, we went through a tumultuous friendship for a little while in our relationship, But towards the end of his life, we actually got together and patched things up at a bar called the Brass Rail. That's right. I went down there one night and Lincoln called me up and we talked, and I went down there to shake his hand. It's not like we were best buds or anything, but we ended up patching up things. So when Lincoln left here, I was definitely hurt by that and bummed out to know he was suffering, but he's not here any longer. So rest in peace, Mr. Lincoln. The album. Let me talk about the album some more. We actually, oh yeah, the band also toured. We played in Texas. That's right, man. That's the state I was missing. We actually went on a 3-city tour of Texas, a mini tour. It started out in Dallas, Texas. Then we went to San Antonio, Texas, and then it ended up in Austin, Texas. And man, that was a fiasco. Yep, well, a lot of it had to do with my drinking, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that there wasn't a lot of people to show up to gigs on that tour. It's just the way it was, man. There wasn't a lot of people that showed up, so that's why I ended up drinking. I was like, there's nothing to lose. There's no one here. We had a small crowd in Dallas. We had a small crowd in San Antonio and a real small crowd in Austin. So, hey, if there was going to be a time to fall off the proverbial wagon, that was it. But we did have good times down there. It was fun hanging out with Tony Mastronardi and the crew. We had some good times in Texas, man. And it was like the first or maybe second time I played Texas. And I've played there 2 or 3 times. I think 3 or 4 times since then. Yeah, my favorite city, dun-da-da, San Antonio. Yep. I love the live clubs and the music in Austin, but it's just oversaturated. I like San Antonio better, and I love the food, but nothing against Austin. Austin's a killer city that I like very much. This album here, this came out on Black and Blue. It's got 12 songs. I'll go through them real quick for those of you that give a damn. Wake Up is down at the end by 1096. But the first song on the album is called Wrong. By the way, me and Dave Moe wrote 99% of this album together. One song was written by the band itself, and that was Mind's Blown in San Antone. That was a song we did about playing in Texas, in San Antonio, and how much fun we had. Mind's Blown in San Antonio has a lot of great slide guitar work from Dave Moe. The first song is called Wrong, which is a great tune. Of course, I got to tell you that Dave Glover and Kevin Gray produced a few songs on this record. Actually, songs 1 and number 10. Number 1 is Wrong, which has keyboards from Dave Glover. And also Dave Glover did song 10, Back on the Street. He plays keyboards on that. Kevin Gray does some vocal work and some other stuff, but they produced a couple songs on this record. Ripped is the second song, which is a song about being stoned. And my good buddy Pascal Maroon did the opening. If you heard the album, and there's a spoken word opening in, which country is he from? Not Pakistan. I forget where he's from, but whatever country he's from is what the language he did it for. And the third song is called Creepy Kula. It's my tribute to Alice Cooper. And if you spell the word, scramble the letters to Creepy Kula, it spells Alice Cooper. And what I did for the lyrics, I went ahead and took a list of all the Alice Cooper albums I could think of, and a lot of the best lines in some of his songs, put them together and mixed it up poetically, and those are the lyrics along with some of my words, added in, and that's Creepy Kula. It's a tribute to Alice Cooper. The next song on the album is a Megasonics cover. The Megasonics being a great Central Illinois rock band. They covered my song 6th Grade Field Trip by Bloody Mess and the Scabs. Bloody and the Transfusions covered their song Dive Bar Superstar, which is actually one of the standout songs on this record, and a lot of people think I wrote it, but I didn't. That goes to the Megasonics. The fourth song, I'm sorry, I skipped FMFU. FMFU was my big flip you off to corporate radio, the big middle finger to corporate radio, and that song was written by me and Lincoln Log. I love FMFU. I think it's one of the most underrated songs on the album. Hungover and Stoned, which on this record is called Still Hungover and Stoned. This basically was a reworking of the Bloody Mess and Scab song, Hungover and Stoned, which is quite popular in Central Illinois. So I thought I want to record it like honky tonk style, and I did. With this band, we got the recording that I wanted originally when I wrote that song with Jeff Gregory. Jeff wrote that song with me of the music. But Jeff produced this new version, which has honky tonk all over it, man. It's got piano by Dave Moe. It's got all kinds of guitar work, great bass lines from Lincoln Log, and great drum work from Billy the Kid. And you can even hear breaking bottles in that thing. It sounds like a live saloon in the background. Still Hungover and Stoned, a great song, and has an added third verse that you won't find on the Bloody Mess and the Scabs version. After that is a song called The Asshole Song. Yep, I'm probably going to get demonetized partially just for saying that word. Pathetic. It's just a song I made up for fun. A lot of these songs were actually made up on the spot. I'd say 3/4 of the album was written ahead of time, but the A-Hole song was kind of done on the spot, lyrically and vocally. The next song is the same. It's called Happiness Is, and that's a song I really like, but it was improvised by me vocally and lyrically in the studio, and I didn't do much preparation ahead of time. Mind's Blown in San Antone, another one that we just made up in the studio. The band played, I made up lyrics on the spot, I wrote down the title and a couple other lyrics, that was it. After that, we got a very well-rehearsed Back on the Street, featuring Dave Glover on keyboards. And that's a song I wrote at like 4 in the morning up in Indianapolis one year when my daughter was in the hospital getting some stuff done. We basically were there and it was very dark. Everyone was sleeping. And I was up with a little light on me writing rock and roll lyrics. And I wrote that song because I felt like I'd been gone from music for so long. And I thought, I'm going to write a song about being back on the streets. And that song is one of my favorites on this record. And when we got to record this, it was one of those I pulled out from the notebook and put Back on the Streets that was written in probably 2003. After that, Tore Up, From the Ground Floor Up, one of our more popular songs live with great backing vocals from Mr. Lincoln Log. I'm tore up from the ground floor up, baby, I'm tore up. And the last song on the album was originally recorded, written, and done by 1096 with my late great mate, Dean Dirt on vocals. We decided to tribute Dean Dirt. I think I actually dedicated the album to Dean. Wake Up is one of my favorite punk songs. Definitely one of my favorite 1096 songs. And I think we did the song justice, but we didn't even come close to doing the vocal work or the music that 1096 would have done because they're like hardcore punk rock kings. We just did a cover. We did the best we could. And I got to say, this is amongst one of my favorite albums of my 10-album career. Bloody the Transfusions, now out of print, but available on eBay and Discogs. You can find it out there for sale. What else can I tell you about this? The band did a lot of good gigs that I remember. One time we played at a vampire gothic party in Belleville, Illinois. That was one of our best gigs we ever did. I remember our drummer was on some particular chemicals that night that Lucy in the sky with diamonds. You know what I'm talking about. I don't think he'd care if I said that now. It's been so long ago. But he didn't tell us he was even on it till after the show. But man, did he play with such ferocity. Billy the Kid, you rule, dude. That guy is an incredible drummer. I got to tell you right now, I love Billy the Kid. And man, that night we played in Belleville at that gothic party, there was all kinds of weird leather stuff going on. People coming out being carried on crosses with like rabbits' heads, nude women, like leather stuff, like really bizarre stuff going on. Lots of vampire action. It was cool. Some of you are going, ooh, eek. Nah, I was in heaven. It was great. But yeah, man, we played great gigs all over the country, you know, in the Midwest especially, Texas, other places. We played a gig in Creve Coeur, Illinois one time. Creve-tucky, I'm kidding. And boy, that resulted in the police coming and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's going to have to be for another YouTube video story someday. We played with a lot of great bands too, man. Monster Bait, The Resonators, WMFO, tons of great bands. Probably some good big name bands that I can't even remember because I didn't do a whole lot of research. I just sat down and decided to kind of knock this out, and I made a few notes. We also appeared, however, on a couple compilation albums. The same year that our album came out, this album came out, Music to Make Your Ears Hurt Trey. The third out of 4 Music to Make Your Ears Hurt compilations. Yeah, we've got a few songs on this here CD compilation. And I gotta say, the same record label that put this out did a like sort of best of sort of thing. And I asked not to be on that album for personal reasons. I was told originally that I had more tracks on there than any of the artists on there. And I said, after our falling out, I said, you can just take my stuff off there. We also appeared on this album that came out in 2009. It's called Bloody Mess Anti-Rockstar, A Long Hard Rain, a retrospective. And this has really cool stuff from Bloody Mess and Hate, Bloody Mess in the Scabs, Bloody in the Veins, a lot of B-sides and kind of rare stuff, and 2 brand new unreleased songs by Bloody and the Transfusions. Yeah, look at that picture of me. Ha ha ha. Check that out, man. That was taken in like 1988. Yep. Thanks to Angel, my ex, for the artwork, the photo. She gets credit. Bloody and the Transfusions had pretty much almost broken up. Lincoln Log called me at the end of, before me and him ever made up again. We had a big falling out and he quit the band right before we were doing a gig and recording these 2 songs for this album. And we decided to go ahead and record without him because the show must go on. And Dave Moe, to his credit, played bass and guitar on 2 of my very favorite Transfusion songs. I got to tell you the truth. These 2 songs I like these songs better than any of the songs on this record. And I love this record. So in other words, we had reached a new level of like a sound in the band, and I'm bummed out that Lincoln wasn't on this. But Dave Moe played bass and guitar and Billy on drums on a song called Real Cool Chick and Whatever Dude. You can find those on YouTube, but they're really unreleased except for this here CD. And I love those songs, especially Real Cool Chick. The inside package, by the way, of this is pretty funny too. Here's a picture of me from Nashville, Tennessee, 1988 or 89, and live in Nashville. Yeah, it's a pretty good one, man. There's a cool booklet in this Anti-Rockstar CD too that has a actual bloody photo of me singing where I had cut my mouth on glass that night and bled like a sieve. Check out the blood on that t-shirt. Woo-wee! Anyway, my friends, I got to tell you, Bloody and the Transfusions was a really fun show. Whenever we performed, it was always very physical, very fun, sometimes unpredictable, but I could always count on the musicianship of Dave Moe, who's one of the best guitar players I've ever had the pleasure to play with or do music with in any capacity. Billy the Kid, I don't know if he's playing today or not, but man, he's a hell of a drummer. And Lincoln Eads, Lincoln Log, we miss you. Rest in peace, brother. Thank you for checking out my video. I know it's kind of long to talk about one of my own bands, but I had a lot to say in this one, man, and I really miss the band. And the way we broke up, it just kind of there was a lot of bad stuff going on in my life at the time personally, including my mother suffering from cancer and dying in 2009. But when the band broke up in 2008, I was in a really bad headspace. Things had just spiraled out of control and we decided to call it a day. I really wish the band would have done 2 records, to be honest, but we did one good one. And as soon as that band broke up, not long after, I started a band with a bunch of really young dudes because I was really PO'd at the world. And I started a band called Bloody Mess and the New Disease. And I will talk about that tale the next time I talk about one of my band stories. How's that? Thanks for being here. Sorry for rambling. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'll be back real soon for more real rock, punk, metal, and curveball stories right here at Bloody F Mess Official. Cheers.